Good evening. This is March 24th, Astro Cafe. I am Margie, and I am the hostess tonight. So we are going to start with something that I would like to share with you. So here we go. Share screen. Click on desktop 1. Okay. Can you see that? Can you see those photographs? Is that a yes?
Of Texas?
Texas.
Okay. Texas. Okay, thank you very much. I just can't, from the people in the room, I cannot hear you very well. So, all righty. Okay, here we go. All right, you see a map? You see a map of Texas in front of you, correct?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay, I'm just going to move this little guy out of the way. Maybe
It better say Gulf of Mexico.
it does. Absolutely does. I'm going to just see if I can get rid of this little guy. There we go. Put that down there, put that down there. All right. In February, I was in Texas birdwatching. I had booked this trip with Eagle Eye Tours many months before, so I went. We had a wonderful group of people. There were 11 of us plus 2 guides. 5 of us were from Canada and the others from the US. All wonderful people, and we enjoyed each other's company. So, where we were, I don't know whether that'll stay down there or not, doesn't want to. I wonder if I can make it smaller. Ah, look at that. Okay, where we were, we landed in Corpus Christi, and we went. Our final destination was just. Can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Okay, we landed in Corpus Christi, and our final spot was to birdwatch was in McAllen, Texas. And McAllen is right on the border between Texas and Mexico. So for 7 days, this is 2.5 hours between Corpus Christi and McAllen, Texas here. And so in 7 days, we covered 2.5 hours worth of driving. So there were a lot of birds to see in the area. So what I want to tell you about is a town. I don't know whether it's a city, I'm not sure. I think it is, called Brownsville, Texas. Population 190,000 people. All right. Outside Brownsville is, anyone know what this is? Don't read up top. Okay, I will tell you. This is the SpaceX Starbase in Boca Chica, Texas. Boca Chica had a population of 4 in 2017. It had a population larger than that years before, but a population of 4 in 2017. It is on Texas Highway 4. And the SpaceX Starbase works very closely with NASA, and I thought this was interesting with the U.S. Armed Forces. Don't know why, but it does. So, as you can see, the first thing I noticed when we were driving, I'll tell you where we were going. We were driving from Brownsville to the Boca Chica Beach, which is down there. So, this facility is right on Texas Highway 4, and it leads to Boca Chica Beach, which is part of Boca Chica State Park. So the first thing that struck me when we were driving by, and you can see that a couple of these photographs I took through the bus, through our van window, were all the trucks. Trucks, 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 trucks. They were all trucks. There were hardly any small cars.
They're gas powered too.
Yeah, it's not the Tesla truck.
Oh no, no, they are not. All right.
Are these employee trucks as far as you're concerned? Or are they used for other purposes?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Were these
I've got
trucks,
my volume turned up.
were these, I think mine's up too. Were these trucks of employees, you think, just working there? Like it's just a parking spot, or were they used for something else?
They are the trucks of the employees. Yeah. So the Brownsville residents are going to vote in May. They're going to vote as to whether Starbase can become incorporated into a city. And of course, incorporation involves, if the city is incorporated, then you have the positives of limited liability, tax benefits, credibility, access to capital from the state. So we're still driving in this direction. This is the highway, still driving in that direction.
And the ability to levy property taxes.
Ah, now the interesting thing about that is that when if Starbase becomes incorporated, it is going to incorporate the hamlet, hamletissimo, because it's very small, of, well, what, 4 people. So there's not going to be a lot of there aren't going to be a lot of taxes that they can tax anybody else, but they would have access to money from the state.
Marjie? It's
Yes.
John. I just finished Elon Musk, the biography of Elon Musk by Isaacson,
Uh-huh.
and he talks a lot about this. So Elon Musk, I believe this is the place. He lives there. They built a compound for workers there.
Yes, there is. See
So
over
there should be a lot. I know, I see it. And
See
that
over
was
here?
his only residence for the last 5 years. I think he has a new one. But
Okay.
he lived there's a picture of it. He lived there. That's his only permanent residence until
Okay.
last year. So there
Yeah.
should be more than 4 people given all these people living there.
Well, there are 3,400, as the information at the top here says. SpaceX has 3,400 full-time employees and contractors who are in those buildings every day.
Yes.
And it has generated, here's the thing for Brownsville, Texas, and area, it has generated more than 800 million in direct and indirect taxes to local governments and to state governments. So our guide, our birdwatching guide, said that, well, I researched, and the Musk started acquiring property in 2010. Our birdwatching guide told us that this area was all wildlife area. But then the town of Brownsville, Shaunak, maybe you will know this better. The town of Brownsville, city of Brownsville, realized that it would be an asset to have this business there. So they allowed the building of Starbase on what had been, and would continue to be wildlife, lands for wildlife.
And neither the state nor the federal government intervened.
That part I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure whether the state said okay. Brownsville certainly said okay.
We got to remember, this is Texas, not California or
True.
BC.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was going to say the same thing, Chris. He describes he left California for this reason.
Aha, that's right. Yeah.
Owns what the bird said.
Junior. Okay, I'm missing this.
Sorry, didn't hear you.
Margie, I'm just trying to figure out, okay, so he was in California and then he wanted to go to Texas. Is that correct?
He did.
That's
he
my understanding. Yes.
Well, I think they started launching in a weird island, right? Sorry, I don't know, in the Pacific. And that wasn't working out. And I think they tried California, an existing NASA site in California, I believe. Some of you, like Chris, would know better. And then he decided he got this thing about California, and he shifted to Texas, and he lived there too, like I said, in like the equivalent of a trailer.
Yeah,
Mhm.
maybe I'll just I don't want to leap in too much, but
Please do.
yes, he some of his original Falcon launches, like 15, 20 years ago, he did that way out in the Pacific, and then when they got the Falcon 9, they started launching from Cape Canaveral and also Vandenberg Space Force base. But he set up his headquarters in Hawthorne, California, which is
Mhm.
part of Los Angeles.
Yep.
And, he kind of lived in the area. He'd lived in Silicon Valley, all this sort of stuff. And I'm not sure exactly when he started looking at Texas for these for the Starship launches, but he was doing that. But also at this time, the pandemic came along, and he really butted heads with the authorities in California about some of the COVID regulations that were going on. And of course, California is a place where there's more regulation, um, and, uh, and just in general. And so he's started to look at Texas. So he has moved himself there and plans to move like some of the stuff that's in Hawthorne to California. But some of the launching, the Texas is now the launching sites for for the Starship. But having said all that, there are plans afoot to start launching the Starship from Cape Canaveral, because it's just a much better place to launch in terms of when your rocket's in the air. There's not as many places you with populations you can hit.
Right.
So and Florida is also a good Republican place like Texas has become. So some of that will go on there. I was just reading something the other day about and Marjie mentioned the armed forces being interested. Well, there's SpaceX is proposing using the Starship not only to get to Mars and the moon and all this stuff, but also to carry large amounts of freight, within a matter of minutes to any part of the world, which is something that is of interest to the U.S. military. And apparently, they are looking at a launching site back down in Johnson Island, which is way in the middle of the Pacific, where he was originally launching the very, very first Falcon rockets years ago. So that's why the military is interested in the Starship. That's
really cool. That's really cool. That's. Did you get to tour it or anything?
No, we were driving on the highway. The highway that you see here is the highway we were on because we were going to the end of the highway, and I will show you what's at the end of the highway. So this just shows you the two launch sites. So the buildings that we just passed were over here and back to the left. And of course, as Chris just said, this is one of four SpaceX launch sites. Now, this information came to me off the internet, so you can tell me, Chris, whether or not some of these are no longer being used as launch sites. So, at Kennedy Space Center in Florida, Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, and Vandenberg Space Force Base in California.
Margie, can you
Yeah,
comment?
that's right. And the Kennedy Space Center and the Cape Canaveral Space Force are adjacent to each other. Like
Okay.
basically, the Kennedy Space Center is Launch Complex 39, which is used to launch Apollo and the shuttle. And then kind of everything else, all the other launch pads are in the Space Force thing. And, they do kind of operate together. But Cape Canaveral, JFK Space Center are best for equatorial orbits. When you're launching from Vandenberg, you're probably launching into a polar orbit or a very high inclination orbit.
Mhm.
Also, Margie, like he's tolerated a lot of explosions. It's part of the way he developed technology. He doesn't mind losing them to take risks to try to get them launched quickly. So that's an interesting thing, right? The debris. I was thinking of you. Like, I think there was one that just exploded, right? 2 weeks ago, right, Chris?
Yeah, the upper stages of the last two have exploded. And there's sort of what was it? The first one was raining stuff on the Turks and Caicos Islands, and the second one was creating worries in Florida. So this is why there's sort of limits to how much they can test from Texas. You have a few more options from the Cape. There are, there's island, the Bahamas are nearby and all that, but usually when they blow up at the Cape, once they're into their flight, they usually land up in the drink.
Was that the catchy
Harming
thing
anybody.
on the right there? Is that the
Yes.
thing?
Yes, these are the chopstick arms.
Yeah,
These are the robot arms.
that's super cool.
Yeah. And I have another photo of a little bit closer.
Chris
Yeah,
Gainor, can I just ask one question, Margie?
certainly.
Chris, why is there a different location more advantageous for polar orbit versus equatorial orbit? I get the sense of equatorial being close to the equator, but what makes a difference in polar orbit?
Well, if you're let's say you're launching from the Cape, if you go due south, you are going to hit populated areas. Or if you go due north, you're going to hit populated areas. About the highest inclination you can launch from the Cape is a little bit more than 50 degrees, which is what they use to launch the space station. It's on an orbit inclined about 50 degrees. But if you get higher, then you're starting to hit, you're hitting things like Newfoundland or Nova Scotia or even little bits of the east coast of the States. If
So
you're
it's downrange safety.
Yes, exactly. That's the big thing. Whereas, Vandenberg is kind of north of Los Angeles, but it's kind of in that part of California that juts out into the coast, into the Pacific. So you can launch kind of due south from there and not really hit anything.
Interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Margie, with respect to property taxes, is that the reason that Star City is being proposed to be incorporated as a city? So that it can avoid property taxes from Brownsville, for example? And it's a corporate, it would be a corporate city, like Disney World was going to be in Florida until the state government prevented that.
Yeah, there's been lots of corporate cities, right? Starting with Krupp in Germany was a corporate city or a company town, or they tend to provide housing.
I'm just wondering if this is tax avoidance by Musk.
Yes,
Well, there's probably tax incentives, which is why he built it there, right? Like,
That's a different issue.
well, what's the difference?
Well, because he's there regardless. He's now wanting to incorporate as a city. So what's the purpose
Can I
of
suggest we
incorporating as a city?
talk less about money and more about the trip?
okay.
Yeah.
Let's see some birds.
All right. Yeah, I've got some of those for you too. Okay, so here we go down the road. So now we're further down the road. So we're seeing one of the launch sites from the same side, to the right-hand side, but I'm now on the other side of the road. And I thought that was interesting that somebody has put to Mars and beyond on the concrete barrier here. But this is where you can see the chopstick arms quite nicely. All right, now we're down at the bottom of the road. So here is the photo that I just showed you. No, I think it's a little bit further up. So now we're at the bottom of the road. Oh, look, beach. This is Boca Chica Beach. It's part of a 43 square kilometer tract of Lower Rio Grande Valley National Wildlife Refuge. So we were there looking out towards where we are sitting right now. So looking in this direction, we were looking for birds. All right, and here, pardon me,
Just said to keep them alive.
I can't hear what you said.
It's okay.
Okay. There's Boca Chica Beach. So that's where we were standing. That's just where the last photograph was. And this is the beach. And there were two Mexican guys here catching, I've forgotten what they were. Catching something, digging for something.
Clams?
Clams, maybe? Yeah. So that's the beach. So our guide said that he thinks he's in that area on and off lots of times. And he said he can foresee that road eventually will just be closed and you won't be able to access this beach. True or not, I don't know. This is fun. So, I wondered where this drawing came from. As you're driving along the highway, Texas Highway 4, before you come to the buildings, on the right-hand side, there are two large installations. This is one of them. So this, I found out that this drawing was on the website forum Reddit in 2016. And the person who drew this without the ad astra, there was no ad astra there at the time, person who drew it was asking for art input. The person said, I have just drawn Musk, and this is the first portrait I've ever drawn, and I want your input as to what it look, how it is and what I could improve on it. So I don't know who the person was then that made a larger version of it and set it up. So there are two sides to it. It's in a triangle. So there on the other side of this other side of the triangle is the same drawing and ad astra, which of course means to the stars. And then just over, whoopsie, come on, just over here is this. This is a bust of Musk.
Oh, this is scary.
There's a French technician entrepreneur who commissioned this. His name, I don't know whether he works for SpaceX or not, but he goes by the name of Louis. And that's all he goes by, and that's all anybody knows of him. I couldn't find him on the internet. And then it was printed. This is by a 3D printer company called White Clouds. So somebody was making a joke on our trip and said, well, this is actually really representative of Musk because it's hollow inside.
You guys are pretty left, I have to say.
Yeah. And it's
Typical of Victoria.
It's painted in a gold color, and it's plastic, basically plastic. It's a very hard plastic. And the sign underneath here is the sign. Elon, aka Meme Lord, by Elron RWA on base. So a meme, of course, is something that is imitated and repeated. RWA, there are actually two meanings of it that I came across, and this is Elon Real World Asset. On base, I assume that is Starbase. Somebody can help me out with RWA. There's also another meaning of RWA that is financial. Ah,
The name of the Lord.
Risk-weighted assets, according to Google.
say it again.
Risk-weighted assets.
That's it, risk-weighted asset. So I don't know which one of those is appropriate in this case. So there's the statue, and here is the whole thing. So there's the portrait. There are two vans. There's some of us. Gosh, can't remember what that is. And there is the statue. So that's how it sits along the highway. And then as you go, you come off the highway in order to come in and see it. And then as you go along the highway in that direction, then you come to the two Starbase buildings on your left. All right. And
So even to put the bust in would have required to partially fill some of the wetlands with.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Apparently, there are some articles on the internet about this bust being pulled by a Tesla truck through the city of Brownsville, and people having, of course, no idea what it was. This was before installation. All right, so that whole experience was a surprise to us in the vans. Our guides knew about it, but it was a surprise to us. All right, and for something equally interesting, I'm just going to show you a few birds we saw, a few animals, whoopsie, a few animals we saw. So this is a green jay, very gorgeous.
Really?
Yeah. This is an armadillo. He's quite little, actually. He looks kind of big, but he's quite little. He's probably about, oh, without his tail, he's probably about 12, 14 inches long. And you can see how he could just roll up so easily. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Very cute.
Very cute. And look at his little ears. Little
Yeah.
ears. Yeah, I know.
What, he's a mammal, right? An armadillo, yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
Now, here's a question. Can you find the bird? It's a paraquet. Can you find the bird? It's a member of the nightjar family.
Okay.
Here it is.
Coming with a,
Yeah.
oh,
He's got his eyes closed.
Oh,
He's sleeping. His beak is out here. Oh, sorry. I don't know where his beak is. It's out here somewhere.
Margie, did you spot it or did your guide spot it?
Oh, our guide spotted it.
Uh,
Oh, yeah. You could walk by. It's just invisible. Invisible. It's a member of the, paraquet is a member of the nightjar family.
It's a hooked bill, right?
Um,
I see a hooked bill, but maybe that's
I
not-
don't think it is. No,
Okay.
I don't know what they eat. I haven't looked them up yet.
I think they pose that way, right? I think all the night jars kind of
Hunch down.
Yeah, they do
They
that.
do. They do, because I've seen night jars in other places. Not a paraquet, but other night jars. Yep, they do.
So beautiful.
Here's a great egret.
Oh, beautiful.
They're nice, yeah. He's got his neck all hunched down. And here's an Altamira oriole. These are all my photographs. And that's it.
Beautiful photos.
Thank you.
how many birds did you add to your life list?
Well, so many of those are I've never seen them before. So a lot of them are lifers for me. We saw 185 species of birds on that trip in 7 days.
And how close are you to the birds with those photos? Or what did you take the photos with?
It depends. I just have a pocket Lumix camera because I want to be able to put it into my pocket, but it's a 10 times zoom. So if it's close enough, I can take a really good photo. Sometimes we were at blinds. We were at a bird blind. So that gets you quite close. And other times we were not. So it depends.
Margie, I was hearing a subtext while you were talking, which is a concern about the future of the sanctuary.
Well, certainly our guide, who is very knowledgeable, that's where Starbase is built is on a nature sanctuary. And not only it's where it's built, it's on a nature sanctuary, but when the rockets take off, they're going to bother the nature in that area, birds and other wild things. So it is in a nature sanctuary.
So the other question I had was, I assume that there's all kinds of light up at night, which would be very disorienting for the birds and make the sky useless for watching by people like us.
Could be. We were there during the day, so I can't speak tonight. Yep. All right.
Recently, Margie, that said that the number of seabirds are down 70%, the global population, 70%. And, since we were talking about Elon Musk, his troubling, preoccupation with Mars, I think he really thinks, maybe some of his energy could be spent on saving the earth rather than finding
Oh no, we want him preoccupied with Mars. Keep him off of the earth.
All right.
You got to give Musk some credit,
Yep.
for pursuing this. And I said this to a few people. He's just acting on some of the recommendations that Carl Sagan himself put forward about 40 years ago about the future of the human race is dependent of us being able to get off this rock in case we blow ourselves up or an asteroid does it. And when I hear Musk speak, I think he's just, to use the bird watching analogy, parroting what Carl Sagan wrote in his book called The Pale Blue Dot. And he's getting a lot of flack for his alignment with Trump and doing what he's doing, which is kind of outside of his wheelhouse, I think. But pretty impressed with his innovation and vigor to kind of find new ways of exploring space. So, I'll give him that credit, but we've got to balance that with some of the political things that he's, taking right now. And I think it's just really shameful that people are using violence to attack his Tesla vehicles and plants at the same time. It's just really, it's just an indication of the divisiveness of the world that we're living in these days.
Yes, one way or another, we are human. So, humanity hasn't improved all that much since it's been here. So, all right, Randy, you're next.
Share my screen.
Nice.
It's got so much money and whatever he can go, and he goes right into a area that's
cheaper. And I'm going to try to be very apolitical.
I'm sure that he's
part of the thing that I really like about this club is that we can do a bunch of stuff without having to worry about things like this. So it's my birthday today. And so
happy birthday to you.
We have Viva Puffs for celebrating. That's okay. But I'm also going to do the indulgence of showing off my I don't know, it's my hobby. This Enkin's Daily Moon, which started over 10 years ago. And I choose a picture of the moon each day and I show it. So I thought what I would like to present today is from the last lunar eclipse in September to the one that we just had last week. And some of the times will go kind of quickly, but if anybody interrupts and say, hey, what's that about? Then that's just dandy. Now, do I go this way? Yes, I go this way. So these are from...
Randy, are you able to make that lovely photograph larger?
Can I do it like this? So it doesn't make it much larger, and it has the disadvantage that we won't then have the text that goes along with it. I really didn't want to do that. This has now got my normal.
Oh, you've got Trump there.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Politics.
I've lost where I wanted to be because of trying to do that. Let's try that again. I was all queued up and I got to the wrong place. I got to go back to Enkin's Daily Moon. So I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to make them bigger.
Okay.
Because then I can't see the commentary that goes along it. But I got to go back to where we were. It was a good question, just I'm not going to do it.
So you've got 4,000 pictures or so in that?
Yep. Where are we starting? Yeah, that's where we were. Okay. So I love these pictures where you see the shadow of the Earth in one spot, and you see the moon moving by. So this was from September 17. And how about that? That's
Fabulous.
That's good timing, eh?
That's excellent.
Okay, so now we're looking at Andrew Wyeth, who was a notable American painter. I don't know, he died about 2009. And some of these pictures are really good. So this is called Man and the Moon. The moon's way up over here.
That's great.
This is called Christmas Morning, 1944. And I don't know its story, but it's quite a haunting picture. Now I'm into hitchhiking. And mostly because I really like this picture. I find that so bizarre. I don't know who did it. Okay, this is Saul Steinberg, who was very often in the New Yorker. And he liked having pictures of the moon. He has a whole series where he was interested in reflections. I find him very whimsical.
Great.
He was very often on the cover of the New Yorker. That's a great one. So many people take good pictures of airplanes and the moon. I think I've done maybe 3 series of this over the years. Oh, this one, look at this. You see the moon here? It's a very, very new moon.
Oh, yeah.
Very subtle. That actually, it was because of this picture I did this set. This was a picture that was making the rounds.
18.
That's last year.
Yeah.
I don't know who this guy Guasco is, but I found a bunch of paintings by him. Anybody knows? That's good. Definitely fits my aesthetic. Oh, Grant Snyder. Grant Snyder does these really pithy views of the human condition. And lots of them include the moon. I highly recommend Grant Snyder.
Randy, they remind me of a form of art called haiku comics. This actually might be a form of this, actually.
Found midlife. I found myself in a dark wood. I couldn't get out, so I built a house. I was lonely until I threw a party.
That's
Yeah, these kind of Escher sort of pictures where it's used to look at different ways of looking at something. Very fond of Grant Snyder. You'll have to go to Enkin's Daily Moon to see them.
Randy, where do you find the Grant Snyder comics?
He has a website. I mean, I get it somewhere on Facebook usually is where I see one and then I start looking for him. And I think it's called something like Occasional Comics or something like that. Anyway, if you look up Grant Snyder, he has a website and very
Thank you.
clever. They don't always have the moon. I high grade them. I don't know who Guy Bio is or Billet or Incidental Comics. That's it. Thank you, David. But again, this guy fits my sense of whimsy. This one I didn't know whether I could include or not, because it's not the moon, but it's the lunar module on a brain.
Yeah.
You know what, I make up my own rules, so I can do anything I like. But this one is borderline for me. It's making allusion to the moon. Yeah.
That's good.
This one,
Oh, BC fairies.
this one is a series of fairies.
Big fairies.
Some of them are in Australia, as I recall. I think this is in Sydney.
Yeah.
Somebody can confirm that? Kaczynski. Don't know much about him, but I like his art. That's a commentary on Facebook, but I don't know what it is. Okay, so this Greek photographer, he must live close to this Meteora monastery, but he took lots of pictures of it, and I think they're beautiful. So these are all from that monastery. Oh, but I had to interrupt that fellow's thing because I was in Vancouver when Taylor Swift came to town, and somewhere in one of her books is Love You to the Moon and to Saturn. And so the Swifties all have many, many, many different ways of representing that. So this one fits my thing because there is a moon right there. Okay? Because the word moon is not good enough for my criteria, but if there's a picture of a moon, then I'm allowing it an Enkin's daily moon. Okay, now we're back to that beautiful monastery. And it's all the same photographer. I don't know how to pronounce that. Gekas. Okay, and then I took a break, went to Italy, and I came back. And these are pictures that I took while I was in Italy. This one I really, really like.
It's very pretty.
I often went out to watch sunrise. But this one was about midnight. I went for a walk to catch the moon late at night. There's Marcus Aurelius on the Capitoline. And this is the bridge in front of that round castle. Does anybody remember? Anyway, it's the bridge in front of that. This is where we were staying down the coast. There's a house that was falling apart, but it had this kind of oculus. And this was in the Etruscan Museum. So this is like over 2,000 years old, this breastplate. And this was in that Basilica Maria Maggioris, I believe.
Is that
Maggiore, it's written down.
Is that Paddington Bear?
That is not Paddington Bear,
Oh.
that is
Joshua.
who's the one who got to stop the sun and the moon?
Apparently it's
Yes, Joshua. There it is. I wrote it down. Good. Anyway, Joshua got everybody to stop this battle by getting the sun and the moon to stop. This is way, way up high. This is a big, big blow up of a picture. And Bruegel, this is in the Galleria Doria, and it was actually the top of a harpsichord. That then we don't have the instrument anymore, but they framed the picture on top. And this is great because there you have a unicorn and other sort of crazy creatures. So this is at creation, there were a bunch of animals that didn't survive Noah. Oh, and where was this? This was in Pompeii. This is at the museum in Naples. And a little bottle of wine. And Panettone. That was a Panettone cover. Okay, now we move to the Flintstones.
Oh.
Paleozoic pictures. Golden pterodactyl. Drive-in. Red is Santa Claus.
Nice.
They put a lot of work into these things. There wasn't. When I was 5, I just liked the stories, but I think that there's a lot of good artwork on them.
Mhm.
Okay, does everybody know about Wilma in the full moon? So, you see, that's her front curl, and there's her bun, her eye, and her mouth.
Oh, yeah.
You see that?
Ah,
Hard to unsee it once you see it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And in fact, this was the reason I did this whole series, was to get to this one. This is a Ukrainian artist, Marchuk, contemporary. There's these kind of eerie, very complicated paintings. Okay, I was in Vancouver and I went to the art gallery and I bought this book called Luna Luna. How could I not buy it? And it documents a art park, but you know, with amusement parks and amusement rides and things. But he got all these great artists. Like here's David Hockney to do pictures of the moon. So these are many pictures from this book, Luna Luna. Some that I never heard of, some that I do know. Here today. This fellow, he's a New York artist, he's quite famous. Herring. And each one of these did kind of a pavilion in this art park. People would go there. Here's Roy Lichtenstein. That's the cover of the book. Proudly on my shelf. I don't know who Pinky is, but I like her art. And that's the main criterion. Moon, and I like it.
is there one of the moon that you don't like, Randy?
Oh yeah, there's lots of pictures I won't put on. Okay, so did people listen to on CBC? They embedded a reporter on this ship that did a research mission to Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
And it was organized by my colleagues at the Pacific Geoscience Center. And my friend Karen Douglas, while they were getting ready to board the ship, went to this restaurant and took a bunch of pictures for me. So these are all pictures from a restaurant way down south in the very bottom of Chile, just north of Terra del Fuego.
Susan Armisen.
Thank you. Yeah. Very good reports, and they did a really good cruise, and they're going to be back next week. Lots of good science. Very good for those of us who look at the effects of the ice ages on our ocean floor, because it's happening in real time down there. So for people like Karen, it was really an eye-opener. But this is where they had dinner before they embarked. Okay, Henry Guimond is a Canadian First Nation artist who got a special commission, which you will see soon, but these are some of his other moon arts. I often start with the final picture of a series and say, oh, I have to explore this artist. So Jeremy Hansen is the Canadian who has been selected to go to the moon, and Guimond is the one who designed his patch, the patch that will be on his uniform. And this is it. So flying from Turtle Island up to the moon. Okay, we're getting pretty close to now. We're looking at the Blue Ghost mission to the moon, which we've been talking about here on the Astro Cafe. Here it's just getting ready to land. This was just after it landed. And there's a really good YouTube that somebody did analyzing this picture. But a thing that you might not have understood is this mission was only going to last as long as there was sun on it. There's no long-term battery, and there's no hope that after the 2 weeks that it had its solar panels in the sun, that it would revive. Okay, so all the amazing work, and it did really awesome amount of I would call it geophysics, except it's on the moon, selenophysics. But it landed early in the day, which is why you have these long shadows. And then it went through one whole day, including the eclipse. And then it just stopped working a few days ago when the Mare Crisium, which is where it landed, was put into shadow. Okay. I don't know why I did eggs, because it's not Easter yet, but here are some eggs for you with the moon. That was a short series. And we finish off with the March 13-14 eclipse. Here it is over Stonehenge. Look at that from Alaska. Over Quebec City. And over Montreal. Another person in Alaska. This guy, lady, Mary Beth, said that she was all set up with her telephoto lens, and then the aurora came, so she had to take off the lens and take some wide frame pictures before going back to doing the close-ups of the moon. But she was not planning on doing this sort of picture. She was looking for doing some close-ups. And the famous picture from Blue Ghost, which I talked about in my recording last week. Oh, incidentally, I've been invited to talk about this at the General Assembly. When's the General Assembly, Lori? Last weekend of April. Anyway.
24, 25, 26, or 26, 27, something like that.
Anyway, I'm again going to give a moon talk at the GA.
Great.
They never let me get off. And this is today's picture. And it looks like this Tim Martin has been waiting for today because it fills in this gap. So it looks like for 22 years he's been gathering pictures and saying, damn, I'm missing this one piece of the circle. So it's published now after 22 years, but that's a great picture. Oh, interesting. The moon is between, the Earth is about 3 or 4, somewhere in there, 3.5 times the diameter of the moon. But you can see this is what? Just 1, maybe 2.5 diameters across. And that is because the sun is not a point. The sun has its own 1/2 degree. And so this thing is like 1/2 degree smaller than it would be otherwise. Anyway, I should take this picture and actually work out the angles and see whether, but I think that this shadow of the Earth will be a solar diameter smaller than the size of the Earth, which it would be if the sun were a point source. So if this were just the shadow of Sirius on the moon, it would be what is it? The Earth is something like 2 degrees when seen from the moon. But this is not any 2 degrees. There's no way you get 2 degrees. If that's half a degree, 1, 2, so it's well under 2 degrees, but it's over 1 degree. That's what I can say without actually trying to measure it. Anyway, that was my little indulgence. Thank you very much, Marjie, and everybody.
Thank
That's
you.
what I got to the show.
Thank you for indulging us.
Thank you, Randy.
You can sign up for Enkin's Daily Moon on Instagram and on Facebook. And maybe I should also migrate it to Blue Sky. I don't know. Seems like a lot of work, but if that's what the people want, then I will do that.
Thanks, Randy. That was wonderful.
So
David.
From yesterday.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, David wants
Oh,
to.
fortune, like the moon, you are changeable, ever waxing, ever waning, which is the start to what we sang yesterday.
In the
Luna, Velut Luna.
Right.
Yeah.
Carmina Burana.
Carmina Burana, yeah, which we sang 3 days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was there yesterday.
An amazing performance, but one of the
ballerinas
dancers
collapsed on
and
Friday.
somebody went on without any rehearsal.
The previous ballet leader, who was retired, stepped on 30 seconds later in costume and danced.
Crazy.
Just amazing.
Anyways, it was like a wonderful performance.
My
sister went to it.
We had a great time.
We were singing Elijah, so it was a bit incompatible.
Yeah.
Competing choirs in Victoria.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was there on Sunday afternoon, Dave. It was
good.
It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, that fast dance chorus. That was the fastest we'd taken it.
Okay. I've
Beautiful.
sung it. It's just wonderful to hear it, be in the audience and hear it.
The other thing I loved was the female soprano who was standing in the middle of the dancers for that one tacit. It was just stunning.
Yeah. David, what would you like to share tonight?
Well, just as a side note to Randy's presentation, Grant Snyder is a portrayer of haiku comics, and I recently took a course from David Lasky down in Seattle, who actually is quite well known for haiku comics. So, for those who don't know, basically you write a haiku, which is like 5, 7, 5 syllable type rhyme, and then you do a comic strip basically. So not every modern haiku comic doesn't always adhere to that, but I'm going to show you one from Matt Madden, and he's from the same time period as David Lasky. I'll just show you that, and then I'll give you the announcements.
Okay.
So this is and this is actually it's quite interesting. Haiku comics seems to have a high proliferation of astronomy themes. So this one's called The Ones That Everybody Knows. So it says, I see the ones that everybody knows. And there's a moon in this one too, right?
I see.
And then we see Orion, the Big Dipper. And then there's this ending phrase says, my night sky is your night sky. So isn't that pretty? So yeah, so there's a lot of this kind of in haiku comics. So Matt Madden is one of them, and the person that I took the course from his name is David Lasky, and he has quite an interesting collection of haiku comic as well.
Beautiful.
Neat.
Okay, so I think I have a couple of announcements to make. So this Wednesday, David Payne is going to be hosting another session of the astrophotography SIG. So those of you who are interested, please join us. David, you can send along kind of a link if people are interested, if you don't already belong to the group. But the right way to do it is to actually join the group. So if you're interested, let David know, and then we'll get you on the distribution for that. And then on April 1st.
David.
Yes?
What happens during an astrophotography SIG?
Yeah.
Oh, what is it? Oh, okay.
What
So
happens?
so we have a number of special interest groups. That's what our SIGs, and it really depends on whoever hosts. Um, the astrophotography SIG that we have, I would say, is predominantly deep sky, but it has a lot of other components to it as well. Anybody who does astrophotography is certainly welcome. It may be over your head on some of them because some of the material is fairly advanced. But I know we certainly have had a lot of people, whether or not they fully understood everything or not, they still attended and still enjoyed the program. So there's other SIGs as well. There's really only one other SIG, and that's the beginner SIG. So if you have questions about the astrophotography SIG, you can certainly contact David or contact myself, and we can certainly let you know more about what it's about. I mean, if in doubt, let us know, and maybe you can attend one and see if it's your cup of tea. So the beginner SIG is the other SIG, which is quite popular. Anybody who is new and just starting out in astronomy, it's an excellent forum. We have people of varying skills at the beginner SIG, so it's not just beginners that attend. There's a lot of people with lots of observing experience. I would say it's predominantly an observing group, though we probably will have somebody who's been working on one of the astrophotography certificates that's going to come and talk to us. But we do talk a lot about certificates because a lot of people have gone through those programs. And we just answer any kind of questions you might have about astronomy. So this coming one is on April 1st. And Kirsten has very kindly agreed to doing a 30-minute, I guess 20 to 30-minute presentation on Saturnian moons. So that's been kind of a newsworthy item recently. So we're up to 274 moons. So we're up 128 from what we had before. And Kirsten will give us a little bit of a history of the study of Saturn's moons and a little bit about how we got to where we are now with 274. So if you've not enrolled in the beginner SIG and you are interested and you're new, let us know and we can pass you a link and you can join us. So I think that's it. Do you have anything to add to that, Kirsten?
No, I think that's it, David. I guess the only thing is I'm going to test run it at beginner SIG on April the 1st, and depending on how it goes, I'm going to try to load it up with some nice pictures and maybe a video or two, some information about Cassini and Huygens and some of the key moons in the system, and as well as the new discovery. So if it works well, I might do it at Astro Cafe, at a future date.
Yeah, sounds good. And as I mentioned, if you are a beginner and you have some very basic questions, you're more than welcome to field them. And if you have any particular areas of interest, you can certainly let us know and we'll prepare a session specifically for you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Brian, you would like to share a book.
Yeah, this is a recent publication from our own RASC member, Nathan Hellner-Mestelman, and this is his second book. The first one was called Cosmic Wonder, probably 2 years ago, perhaps?
No, he was advertising it just last year.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's only a year off the rest. So this is what Nathan did during his summer holiday. and it was went on sale. We ran into him at the Center of the Universe on Saturday night, and it was the first night that he saw the book in print. So it is literally just hot off the press. So you can get it up at the Center of the Universe, $24. This book covers the beginning of the universe and the development of life on Earth, etc. So it's very easy to read. And yes.
Could you read the title? Because I can't see it.
Okay, the title's called The Language of Stars.
Oh, okay.
And
Nice.
I can maybe put I'll put the name in the chat. I'm not sure where, if you can buy it online or not, but yeah, Nathan's a grade 12 student at Mount Doug. And he's got his sights on either UBC UVic
Or McMaster.
Yeah, McMaster, and perhaps pursuing a joint degree in both creative writing and astronomy.
Wow.
So I just checked. It's actually on Amazon, or
Okay.
of course you can get it up at the Center of the Universe.
And it's Linda Leith Publishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Linda Leith, Leith, Linda Leith.
Hey,
So-
Dave, if you've got it there, just throw the link in the chat then.
Yeah, I'll do that right now. It's available on Kindle as well.
And because we're buying Canadian at this moment,
Yes.
you might want to check and see if it's available at our local bookstores.
That too.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yes, I was going to add that, Margie, that maybe he might put it at Monroe's because they have very good science books there and support local people.
But there it is. If you just want to see what the cover looks like, your choice is to where you buy it.
I think it would be up to Linda Leith Publishing to figure out where to put it. I don't know whether or not Nathan would have very much say in where it would go, but
Just
but it is-
FYI, with respect to his first one, Cosmic Wonder, I bought a couple of versions of that actually at Monroe's, so it was there.
They were at Boland's also.
Boland.
Boland's has 25 plus
Fantastic.
in stock according to their database.
Good. Yay.
How does he do that?
Yeah.
It was quite sweet.
Perfect.
I ran into his mother on Saturday night. She was there. So I said to her, "How does Nathan have time to do this?" And she said, "Well, he's at a stage in his life where he has meals made for him. Somebody does his washing." I said, "Oh, he has a wife." Yeah. So, there will come a time when he doesn't have all those assets in his back pocket.
Yeah, I think when he goes off to university, it's going to be a shock to the system for him a little bit. But he's a wonder. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Brian, for letting us know about his book. Lori, do you have anything to share? No, she's shaking her head. She does not.
I have an announcement.
Pardon me?
I have a couple of announcements.
All right. Go for
First one is tomorrow night is council meeting. People are welcome to observe. Council members should all come. I know of one person who can't, but it's going to be talking budget for people who like that sort of thing. I will remind people that Saturday, May 3 is International Astronomy Day, and things are getting going. There'll be more announcements later on, but mark your calendar, come and support the efforts that day. It will be 10 till 3 at the museum, and then the Friends will have a complimentary program in the evening at the Center of the Universe. And about me at Astronomy Cafe, Natasha has commissioned me to talk about the zodiacal light, which I'll see if I can do for next week. Our discussion before we started recording today was about the green flash, which is something which Dave gets to see a lot in Hawaii, and then people who live on fishing boats a lot get to see. There's been lots of stories just very quickly going around here. So if you have any photos or any stories about the green flash where the sun is setting over the ocean, contact me, email me, and I'll see if I can include that. So that'll be sometime not too far from now. I will do something about the green flash because I think it's amazing and I don't know anything about what makes it happen. It's a bit counterintuitive to me. So I got to find out about it. So you guys probably also want to find out about it. I can always use more people who will host. Margie, is it difficult to host?
It is not difficult. It is a delight.
There you go. Didn't rehearse that. I knew that's the answer. So do put your name forward to host this event. I think part of the fun of this event is its informality and spontaneity and diversity of leadership. So yeah, do sign up, or you're going to be stuck with me. Okay, that's the threat.
Thank you, Randy. Chris Gainor, do you have anything that you would like to share?
Oh, a couple of things. First of all, Margie, thank you for your great presentation on the going to Texas. It was interesting to see what you were showing us because I've heard about it and sort of the fans of the Starship have been talking, but it was nice getting another kind of a different view. One other thing, hopefully one day it'll be cool to travel to the States again, and a good place to go, of course, is Cape Canaveral Kennedy Space Center, because it is surrounded by the Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge, and all sorts of birds there. I can on my visits down there, I always got a kick out of curlews, and I see a lot of those around on the beach and running around. They have manatees there. In fact, I shudder to think what would happen if there wasn't Cape Canaveral there, because it would probably be all suburbs, and there wouldn't be as many manatees around, and alligators and armadillos, all sorts of things. So if you're looking for stuff like that, when the current unpleasantness comes to an end, that's a place to go. And I'll make a comment about Randy's comments about the blue ghost. An interesting thing, a couple of interesting things about that is that they actually threw in a little bit of battery power so that it could continue operating a few hours after sunset. So on the internet, there are some images of the sunset and kind of the post-sunset on the moon. But yes, now it's sitting there. But I'm going to be maybe keeping an eye on things when the sun rises over the Sea of Crises, because while Blue Ghost is not designed to revive itself when the sun comes back, it would hardly set a precedent if it did, because previous spacecraft that have not necessarily been designed to revive when the sun comes up have. Most recently, the Japanese one that landed there a year or two ago. And I know a couple of the surveyors did back in the 60s. So, and I believe that they are going to see if Blue Ghost does wake up when the sun rises over there. So we'll see what happens. So yeah, generally it's things are a little quieter than they have been the last couple of weeks. I would just note for those people who've been kind of following, well, what's going on with NASA these days, because sometimes I talk about it, is there is actually quite an interesting article in the New Yorker, the March 21st New Yorker, inside Trump and Musk's takeover of NASA. And um, just a bit of a summary of that, which is there some of the cost-cutting efforts that Musk has been involved in have involved asking people to take a buyout, and a number of people at NASA have done that. And I think about 5% of the workforce. But there was supposed to be kind of some more attention and some cutbacks, just mandatory cutbacks of people on probation. And the acting administrator of NASA, a woman named Janet Petro, who's actually, she's the acting administrator, but she's the first woman ever to hold that acting or administrator position at NASA, appealed to higher authorities not to lay these people off, and she succeeded. So the damage at NASA so far has not been as great as at other agencies, but there's a lot more detail in that article. That's quite interesting. Let me see. And we are still awaiting the appointment, the confirmation of Jared Isaacman as the new NASA director. Today I heard, and I've said that he may actually be a fairly good person for that, and my confidence has actually gone up a little bit because a letter went out today to people in the Senate who will confirm Isaacman. And I think it was from on the order of 30 astronauts, including one Apollo astronaut, and even a person like oh gosh, just slipped my mind. Anyway, the one of the astronauts who is the key people in the Hubble thing. And also, he was very public in his support of Kamala Harris in the election. So I think that bodes well for the new administrator, because he has not, he has been known to be associated with Musk, but he has not been involved in politics really. So we will see. And I'm just going to mention one more thing, which is more about astronomy, but they're very interesting study has just come out, suggesting that about the history of the Earth. And we've had on the order of 6 mass extinctions in our history, and one of them, of course, famously being the comet or the asteroid striking the Earth and wiping out the dinosaurs. But some research is indicating that possibly 2 other mass extinctions are linked to supernova explosions.
Oh, that's scary.
And yes, so I mean, we could, we could wake up tomorrow and at 10:35, that's the end of everything. But anyway, we will have to see. So there's uh, the I think what I'll do is I've got I've got a little press release from the Royal Astronomical Society about that, and I will put that on the chat if you want to read some more about it. And I suspect there will be some publicity going forward. But I must say, I've always wondered, it's not the supernova, if it were to cause damage on the Earth, would have to be reasonably close to us. Like I think on the order of about, what is it, 60 light years or something like that. But still,
Well,
that's
Chris, isn't the closest one Betelgeuse? That's the one they say we could witness.
Now Betelgeuse is farther away as far as I know, but we don't necessarily know everything about what's out there. So I can't really say any more about that question, but anyway, I invite you to take a look at that release. We are finding out more. In fact, I think another thing that just came up was that they've been discovering some exoplanets around Barnard's star, which of course is one of the closest stars outside of our own sun to the Earth. So anyway, lots going on, and I suspect we will see some of it in various places, including astronomy publications, including RASC. So I think I will leave it there.
Thank you very much, Chris. Lori, you have a question.
I'd have just another thing that I'd like a little bit of some info on. On last Saturday night, Bob McDonald gave a talk on we are in the middle of a black hole, possibly, at the center. And I was in the planetarium and was not able to hear his talk at all. And I'm wondering if there are people that actually did get to hear him. I know Brian was there. A couple of other people were there, and is that something that maybe we can talk about a little bit sometime? Is what he was bringing to the fore. You're right, Peter. I could watch the YouTube video because I didn't do that, so I can do that as well. But just that might be something to bring up another time because he also had it on Quirks and Quarks. So it just might be an interesting discussion sometime.
I'm seeing a bunch of media on this now. Like there's been some Facebook posts and like people are starting to say that they're hearing this all over the place, this theory that the universe is within a some supermassive black hole. And there was the astrophysicist, I guess the modern one. It's a theory that apparently it's not new. It's a cosmological theory that's been around for a little while, because apparently there's some mathematical constructs that kind of lend itself to this idea, like I don't know, some of the calculated mass in the universe, or the extent and the direction of spin that's observed in the universe tends to support this construct. But the modern, I guess, cosmologist that's kind of behind a lot of it was interviewed by Bob on his Quirks and Quarks show. So I haven't heard that, and I'm going to be listening to it because I'm quite curious about this. And one of the I'm curious as well. It's the first time I'd ever heard this, and so like I want to learn about this theory. But it was interesting. One comment that Bob, because I went up and I talked to Bob after he gave his talk, just because I wanted to learn a little bit more, and actually some of what I'm conveying is what Bob actually mentioned. But one thing that he said as a parting thought to me when after we were talking about it, because I was kind of joking that, gee, this must be a really big, supermassive black hole. And his parting comment to me was, or else we're really small. And I've been thinking about that. Like that thought has been coming to me kind of randomly, periodically over the last couple of days. Like it's actually changing my entire, potentially my view of the universe. I mean, we think we're so big and the universe is so big, and from our perspective, of course, it is. But
Well, there was a theory that I read that it always struck me as beautiful. I don't know whether it's true or not, but there are asymmetries in the world, and one of the biggest one is there's way more particles than there are antiparticles. And an antiparticle is just a particle that's moving backwards in time. Now, this symmetry comes from a black hole. If you can imagine photons going into a black hole and being forced to the center. But if that is, if you reverse time, the light is actually emitting to the edges of the black hole, which would be the edges of that universe. So each time a black hole in our space could be a universe that's moving backwards in time, and is full of what we would call antiparticles, but within that universe is actually particles. And you kind of get this inside out sort of continuum. Each universe that has black holes actually contains universes in those black holes that are just moving backwards in time with respect to our reference. And what's really beautiful about that is it's got a thermodynamic reference, because this thing called entropy or randomness, or for lack of a better thing, gives time its arrow. So if all these things are moving, and entropy always increases in our universe, but if you go into a black hole, the entropy would go in the opposite way, and everything would appear exactly as our universe appears to us. So it's really a cool theory. I think it pretty much has to remain that way. But that's been around for a while.
so I'm going to be curious to listen to Bob's interview of this astrophysicist on Quirks and Quarks. David Lee has put it in the chat. And I'm hoping there might be a link to some further, like a paper or whatever this new evidence is. It's kind of on my list of things to do. But in the meantime, I have this thought keeps now coming into my mind that we could be like this microscopic little thing and some larger thing that, yeah, it's just very interesting.
But the other
We
one
are-
too, we
we
could
are
be very
really
big
small.
with some smaller things.
Say that again, David?
Well, it goes in both directions, right? We
Yes,
could be
yeah.
very big compared to something that in our universe is a black hole.
You scare me, David.
Margie, more announcements.
Yes.
Kevin just reminded me, and I've confirmed, Saturday night is a Plaskett night. Dan Posey will be leading that. I'm sure there will be an email once we find out that it's going to be a beautiful clear sky that night. And so, you know, there will be an announcement if it's nice, and late March is better than early March, so let's hope this one works. And then Kirsten put in the chat, but Kirsten, can you announce out loud the next Wednesday night at the university?
Yeah, thanks, Randy. Yeah, just for everybody's information, we don't have the full details on what the guest speaker will be talking about, but we do have on April the 9th, so Wednesday, April the 9th, we'll be joined by Dr. Toby Brown, who's one of the astronomers at NRC, and I don't have a title or an abstract from him yet, but I was looking him up, and his areas of expertise are star formation, planetary formation, and galaxy formation. So so it'll be another kind of scale, kind of large scale presentation on that kind of stuff. So that'll be great. But yeah, 7:30 start at the Bob Wright Center main lecture hall there.
Can't say that.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Oh, really? It's not, I thought May was the questionable one, Alex. So April's the
April.
April?
Yeah, end of term exams for an April.
Exams.
Oh, okay. Okay,
So
okay, good to know.
I will send
okay.
something. Maybe tomorrow we'll send them an email.
Yeah, that would be
What we'll
that
go
would-
back in.
And
yeah, that
another
would be great. Yeah, hopefully we'll get a location. I guess, well, hopefully by the time we send out the first announcement, but we'll know it'll be up there somewhere. But
Maybe
yeah,
maybe we'll leave a sign or leave somebody there just to redirect people once we know.
I'll
So
just,
the
I'll just say
idea-
TBD.
You want to go
The
there?
the idea is that we are potentially losing our room,
Just temporarily.
just temporarily. Okay.
Yeah, it's exam time.
Oh,
there's another announcement. Just realized Sunday, April 6th is the Vancouver Island Regional Science Fair. And I will bring it up to council tomorrow, but it would be very clever if we had a delegation to interview the astronomy projects. I am not available that day, so it ain't going to be me, but get in touch with me and I'll send an email around. But we have been invited again to offer a prize to the best astronomy projects. Saturday, April 6th.
thank you.
5th.
What?
April the 5th.
April 6th is right. April 6th is the
Sunday.
Yeah, it's Sunday. It's
Sunday.
April 6th.
Okay, not Saturday.
Okay, good. Sunday, April 6th.
Sunday is the specialty jelly.
Thank you. Brian, do you need a moment to explain Horton Hears a Who?
Just a moment.
Well, if I would, has everyone not read that book?
Yes. I have not
Yes,
read
but
that.
I've forgotten it, so you might want to say.
Well, it's the story of that elephant. He hears a voice on a little fluff, and it's an entire world that resides in this little fluff. And there's one per soul that's speaking to Horton to save him from the demise. So it's just a reference of like the galaxy within a black hole.
Yeah.
Another world within a smaller world.
Yeah.
A smaller world within our world.
Yes, I sometimes look at moss that way.
Mm.
The world, there's an entire world in there. All right, does anyone else have something to share? Lori.
Sorry, yes, I just wanted to say, I have signed up to be a judge, Randy.
Awesome.
So I don't know whether anybody else is. I would love to have somebody else so that there could be a couple of us there
I'll help.
to look at the projects. And okay, so David, you have to sign up for
And
it to be a judge.
Well,
David,
both
Okay.
Davids have to sign up.
David Payne has his.
Oh, okay. Go great. Okay. So the only other thing I wanted to say was just the meeting on the 9th of April at the university. There is going to be a special announcement on that day. So if anybody is really interested in our special announcement, you have to be there. And that's all I'm going to say.
It's a hint.
No hints. No hints at all.
Okay. Bill, would you like to say something?
Yeah, it's way down the road, but I got contacted the other day about it's the last day of May. So I think it's 31st. I accepted doing the Beavery at Camp Bernard again for the daytime thing. So I'll be bringing it up over and over to bug people. And Randy, so I came in late, but I did see your Wilma on the moon.
Yeah.
You kind of cut off her picture because on the moon is one of the rocks from her necklace also. Like a pearl, like a pearl.
I'll have to look. Thank you.
Because Gary Saronic years ago wrote an article, I guess it was probably in Sky and Telescope, on looking for what it actually is, because it's not a crater. So there's this white bright spot in the place where a single pearl in a necklace would be. And just when you look at the picture now of the moon, you'll see that white dot. But it's not a crater. So it makes a necklace, part of her necklace. Just so you know.
Thank you. You add value, Bill.
Actually, I have one more thing.
Chris.
Okay, so this is a little different from my usual fare, but so the last few days I was contacted by this woman named Trisha Epp, who's a young space enthusiast, and she is involved with this contest that's going on. It's to design a zero gravity indicator for the Artemis 2 mission to the moon. And what a zero gravity indicator is, and I'm not sure when it started, but it started some years ago. It's usually something, often a toy. Like the first few times it was like a teddy bear that would just be hanging from the instrument panel of a spacecraft, and it would just be hanging down. And then when the spacecraft gets into orbit, it starts to float around, and that tells you that you're in zero gravity. And so they're having a contest for the Artemis 2 mission, which is, of course, should send the next humans around the moon, including our own Jeremy Hansen. And anyway, she's invited me to spread the word about this contest. So I thought it might be, perhaps an interesting. It's open to people of all ages, but I thought it might be an interesting activity, for like people over, come into the center of the universe or things like that, and maybe I will send that around to people. I'm not sure what my email privileges are right now, but I'll send it around and keep an eye on.
What would attract someone to do such a project?
They'll win some money, and of course,
I'm just making a joke.
You would have
zero gravity. There's no attraction.
You would have at certain points in the mission, there would be a lot of publicity about the zero gravity indicator. I forgot they started using these things during some of the Soyuz missions up to the space station or something. And now a big fuss is made about them all the time, because they always get something different, I think the first one I can remember was like a teddy bear, but there's all sorts of different things, there. I think in one of Jared Isaacman's mission, they were selling replicas of it, to raise funds for St. Jude's Hospital and stuff like that. So anyway.
Thank you. David, I would say your point has gravity, but that's actually not the point. All right. Is there anybody else who has something to share? This has been a totally fascinating evening.
I'll just maybe mention, if you're organizing speakers, I don't know if you do remote, but the engineer on the recent Sphere-X telescope, the 3D, is Canadian, and she has presented in Montreal to women engineers about her history as an engineer and some of the struggles she had. It's Farah Alabay. I think she was on CBC today. Very interesting. Yeah. Did you hear it, Margie?
I didn't, but I have just recently come across her name.
Yeah.
Great. All right. So it's 8:49. Time to go. Thank you, everyone, for... Oops, there's one more. Oh, no. Thank you, everyone, for all your input. It's been a lot of fun. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Margie.